All right, well, Tuesday was the day I had planned on heading home. I had a flight, had a good deal on it. It was $185, but I used a $50 coupon, so it was $130. So really, $135 for a flight that long was a really good deal if I had actually been able to get on the plane. So I woke up at 4:30 a.m. and again, I'm usually trying to get to the airport an hour before a flight with some risk. At this time, I wouldn't consider it a flaw in my methodology, but there's some things you just cannot control, and even if I said an hour and a half before a flight or 2 hours before a flight, I still might not have made it. Well, I might have if we had beaten the accident, but there was an accident. So at one point up the road, a couple miles in the swamp road, the roads are freeways, but they still kind of, or maybe highways, but they go through swampland, and the fog had come in and mixed with some fire, smoke, and it just made visibility really, really bad. I mean, just pretty much zero. And this led to an accident. People go too fast in these conditions, and if they just end up in fatal accidents, which is kind of very unfortunate, but people just got to learn how to drive in these conditions. So yeah, things came to a slowdown and then a stop, and then yeah, from there it was just a crawl for the next 3 hours. At some point, I pretty much had to call the airline and cancel my flight because I was not going to be getting on that flight. It's zero chance. They put me on the next plane, which is like at 9:30. I figured I had plenty of time for that, although they charged me an extra like $350 or something. So my flight became $480, which was an obscene price, but nothing I could do about it. However, the traffic just did not move. It was just stop and go with like 5 to 10 minutes of stops with zero movement. So this was really bad, and time kept ticking. So at some point, I booked a flight for the next day just to make sure I had something locked in. And then later on, I just had to call again and cancel that second flight. So I wouldn't even make my 9:30 flight. The flight after that would have cost me close to $700, and that wasn't ideal either. I had thought about maybe just going to New Orleans and then getting a hotel room and staying there so my friend wouldn't have to drive out again the next day. But he offered I could stay at his house again, so I said, yeah, why not? Yeah, let's go back. More time to hang out with friends and chat. So it was actually, kind of a blessing in disguise in some ways. Yeah, at some point we reached the accident, and you can tell it looked pretty bad. It looked like there could have been survivors, although I think there was another accident up the road which might have had the fatality, but someone did lose their life in this whole disaster. But the ones I saw looked like those people could have survived. Hard to say, you don't know. But it also looked like, from the looks of the accident, that people must have been just going way too fast with these conditions. But we were forced to kind of get off the freeway, go to the other side, because they had closed the other direction of the freeway, so everyone was being rerouted south, and just kept driving right back to Slidell. So we left, didn't even reach New Orleans. And pretty much 4 hours after we had left, we'd returned back to the same place. So nothing was accomplished, but had to give it a try. You never know what's going to happen, but I guess you just do have to check Google and Maps and just keep really updated, because there's a lot of people still in those lines, and you just think, oh man, they're going to be there for quite a long time. Back at the house, my friend had to go to work, but I was able to just relax. That's all I wanted to do. So I studied the Spanish for a while, got to hang out outside, tried to do a little tanning. It wasn't too easy. I thought I might have been getting bitten by ants or something. I don't know. But I gave that up, had a beer or two and just relaxed. At one point I thought, man, maybe I'll just take a nap, but then I got a text saying my friend's work had been canceled, so he was heading back. So I thought, okay, we'll just hang out. And then everything changed when a stray dog, I don't know if it's stray, but this dog came up. Really nice, friendly dog had come up, lost, didn't have an owner, and this was, something that kind of changed the rest of the day. The dog did have a collar, collar on it, but no tags, and just no sign of, we put a leash on it and just kind of walked around the neighborhood trying to find the owner, went around other neighborhoods trying to find the owner. And even went to a place where they can measure for a chip, but no chip. So poor dog didn't have a home, but it was so friendly. Such a really nice, sweet dog. And you didn't want to see, you hated to take it to a pound or anything like that. But at some point, my friend's wife said, we cannot get another dog. And it made sense. They just are are away too much, so you just can't have a dog when you're always away from it. But we did have places to be. Had to get to Buffalo Wings to have dinner, so they put the dog in their laundry room and kind of took off. The Buffalo Wings was great. I don't know if I'd ever been there before. Yeah, I guess I don't think I just ever had gone to a Buffalo Wild Wings before. And it's a fun experience. Just got to be careful you order the hot ones because they definitely are very hot and they will just burn your tongue and mouth to where you really can't taste anything from that point forward. A few beers helped, but I was still, I had a mouth on fire for quite some time. After that, headed back home, and the dog, being kind of like scared or whatever, concerned, had kind of scratched up some of the laundry room and tore up some cardboard or whatever I could find. So the dog was a little panicky, but I was happy people were back home again. But they realized this was going to be a problem having it in there overnight, so they had a kennel they borrowed from his son, and that helped, I think. So the dog was a little panicky at first, but finally relaxed, and I guess the damage was mitigated at that point. No more clawing everything up. So there was no more football to watch that evening since it was Tuesday, but we watched some episodes of Yellowstone, and people got tired pretty fast. I stayed up, I guess, about till midnight, and I kind of said goodbye to my friend Tanya for a second time. But I got some rest, and 4 hours later I have to be up again to be heading home again.